Have you ever heard women say this? Girl, she can do so much better. What does she even see in it? They don't even match. She's too smart to be putting up with that. She has too much going on for herself to be dealing with him. He is not on her level. And when we hear that, most of us know exactly what they mean. They are looking at her life, her job, her money, her degree, her home, her image, her strength, her ability to handle business. And from the outside looking in, it may seem confusing. How can a successful woman, a smart woman, a woman who knows how to make decisions, a woman who can lead, build, work, raise children, manage responsibilities, and show up in every other area of her life, keep choosing a man who does not seem to match who she is? But today, I want to ask a deeper question. What are we looking at when we say they do not match? Are we only looking at status? Are we only looking at money? Are we only looking at education? Or are we only looking at what she achieved on the outside? Maybe he does not match the woman she has worked so hard to become. But what if he matches something else? What if he matches what she experienced or what she never received? Maybe he is inconsistent. Maybe he's emotionally unavailable. Maybe he does not communicate. Maybe he does not show up the way she needs him to. Maybe he gives mixed signal. Maybe he's not as ambitious. Maybe he's not emotionally mature. Maybe he does not seem to value her the way other people think she should be valued. And people ask, what does she see in him? But that question is usually asked in judgment. Today, I want to ask it with compassion and truth. What does she see in him? Maybe she sees potential. Maybe she sees a man she hopes will become what she needs. Maybe she sees the good moments. Maybe she sees the apology. Maybe she sees the small signs that keep her hoping. Maybe she sees something that feels familiar, even if it's not healthy. And this is where we have to slow down. Because when we say they do not match, we may be comparing his outside life to her outside life. But sometimes relationships are not formed from what we have achieved. Sometimes they are formed from what we believe, what we learned, what we normalized, what we survived, what we saw growing up, what we did not receive, what we still long for. So the question becomes, does he not match? Or does he match a part of her that has not been healed yet? That is a different conversation because now we are not just talking about status. We're talking about emotional familiarity. We're talking about old beliefs. We're talking about the father wound. We're talking about a way a woman can become successful on the outside while still carrying unhealed pain on the inside. I have a question for you. When you look back at the men you have chosen, did they match the woman you had become? Or did they match something you were still trying to heal? Sit with it, not with shame, but with honesty. Now, this is important. A woman can be successful and still be wounded. A woman can be educated and still be emotionally attached to an unavailable man. A woman can have money and still feel poor in love. A woman can lead at work and still feel confused in a relationship. A woman can know how to negotiate contracts, manage teams, build businesses, solve problems, raise children, and handle pressure, but still feels stuck with a man who does not emotionally show up. Why? Because success and healing are not the same thing. Achievement is powerful, but achievement does not replace emotional healing. A degree does not heal abandonment. A title does not heal rejection. A paycheck does not heal the little girl who wanted her father's love. A promotion does not heal the part of her that learned love could be inconsistent. A house does not heal the part of her that never felt emotionally protected. A woman may have grown on the outside, but the inside may still carry old beliefs about what love from a man feels like. That does not make her weak. It makes her human. This is where many professional women need compassion and not criticism. Because people will say, she should know better. But the truth is, she may know better intellectually. She may know better spiritually. She may know better when giving advice to someone else. But when the wound is activated, knowing better does not always mean choosing better. That is why healing matters. Because healing is what helps the inside catch up with the outside. The outside may say, I'm successful, I'm strong, I'm capable, I'm worthy, but the inside may still be carrying a belief like, I have to work hard to be chosen. I have to accept less. Love is not consistent. Men please. Men are there physically, but not emotionally. I should be grateful for whatever attention I get. I cannot ask for too much. And if those beliefs are still living inside of us, then we may attract, choose, tolerate, or stay connected to men who match those beliefs, even when they do not match our standards. So when we talk about becoming who we want to attract, we are not talking about becoming perfect. We are talking about becoming healed enough to recognize what is healthy, healed enough to receive love without mistrusting it, healed enough to stop confusing emotional distance with depth, healed enough to stop choosing familiar pain just because it feels normal. What have you achieved on the outside that your heart still needs to catch up with on the inside? And if this is already speaking to you, take a moment and subscribe to this channel. This is the kind of truth we are going to keep talking about here. Truth that does not shame you, but does not let you stay asleep in the pattern either. Now let's talk about the father wound, because this is where the conversation gets deeper. When a woman grows up with a father who's absent, inconsistent, physically present, but emotionally unavailable, disconnected, unpredictable, or unable to show healthy love, she may not have a clear model of what safe from a man looks like. And that matters because we learn love from what was modeled. We learn from what we saw. We learn from what we felt. We learn from what was missing. We learn from what we had to survive. A father does not only shape what a girl thinks about him, he can shape what she expects from men. He can shape what feels normal in relationships. He can shape whether love feels steady or distant. He can shape whether a woman feels comfortable being chosen or more comfortable trying to be chosen. He can shape whether emotional availability feels safe or unfamiliar. And if the first major male relationship in her life taught her that love was absent, inconsistent, or emotionally distant, then later in life, emotionally unavailable men may feel familiar. Not because they are right, not because they are healthy, not because she wants pain, but because a heart recognizes the pattern. Sometimes what we call attraction is really recognition. The nervous system says, I know this feeling. I know this distance. I know this waiting. I know this uncertainty. I know this emotional hunger. And because it's familiar, it can feel powerful. It can feel like chemistry. It can feel like connection. It can feel like something worth fighting for. But familiar does not always mean healthy. Familiar sometimes means old. Familiar sometimes means wounded. Familiar sometimes means this reminds me of something I've never healed. So when we see a successful woman choosing a man who does not match her life, maybe we need to ask, what did love from a man look like when she was growing up? Did she see consistency? Did she see emotional safety? Did she see a man protect her heart? Did she feel chosen? Did she feel seen? Did she feel valued? Did she feel secure? Or did she learn love through absence, silence, rejection, inconsistency, emotional distance, or disappointment. Because if she never had a healthy father show her what safe love looks like, she may not immediately recognize safe love when, and she may keep choosing what mirrors the model she already knows. That is not to blame. That is awareness. What did your father teach you about love from a man, either through what he gave or what he did not give? Write that down if you need to, because sometimes the answers are not in the man we are choosing now. Sometimes the answers are in the model we learned before we even started dating. Here is the part that many women miss. We don't always choose from what we say we want. We choose from what we believe. A woman may say, I want a good man. I want a kind man. I want a man who communicates. I want a man who is emotionally available. I want a man who makes me feel safe. But if deep inside she believes love is supposed to be hard, she may feel more drawn to hard love. She may believe men do not stay. She may choose men who are already halfway gone. If she believes she has to prove herself, she may feel pulled to men who make her audition for affection. If she believes a little bit of love is better than no love at all, she may tolerate crumbs. If she believes men cannot really be trusted, she may feel uncomfortable with a man who is steady. If she believes emotional distance is normal, she may mistake availability for boring. That is why the belief matters, because the belief becomes the filter. The belief decides what feels familiar. The belief decides what gets excused. The belief decides what feels like love. The belief decides what we call chemistry. The belief decides what we are willing to wait for. And many of those beliefs were formed long before we had the language to name them. They were formed in childhood. They were formed through family. They were formed through what we heard women say. They were formed through what our fathers did or did not do. They were formed through what we watched our mothers tolerate. They were formed through heartbreak. They were formed through survival. And until we examine those beliefs, we can keep repeating the same choices like thinking it was just bad luck. But it may not be bad luck. It may be an old belief making the decision before the healed woman gets a voice. That is why I say healing changes who you choose. Because when you heal, you start asking better questions. You stop only asking, does he like me? And you start asking, is he emotionally healthy for me? You stop only asking, does he want me? And you start asking, does this connection bring peace, clarity, and consistency? You stop only asking, can I make this work? And you start asking, is this the kind of love I want to keep building my life around? That is growth. That is healing. That is power. What belief about love has been choosing for you without your permission? Is it men always leave? Is it I have to work hard to be loved? Is it I should not ask for too much? Is it good men do not exist? Is it this is just how men are? Name the belief, because what you do not name, you keep living under. Now let's answer the question people keep asking. Why does she stay? Why does she keep answering the calls? Why does she keep hoping? Why does she keep giving chances? Why does she keep making excuses? Why does she keep choosing him when everyone around her can see he does not match her? There are many reasons. Sometimes she stays because of hope. She sees who he could become. She remembers the good moments. She believes the apology. She believes he is trying. She believes if she is patient enough, things will change. Sometimes she stays because of emotional attachment. The relationship may not be healthy, but the attachment is strong. Sometimes she stays because leaving feels like grief, not just grief over the man, but grief over the dream she built around him. Sometimes she stays because alone feels scary. Sometimes she stays because starting over feels exhausting. Sometimes she stays because she does not want to admit that what she hoped for is not what is happening. And sometimes she stays because the relationship mirrors something familiar, a familiar ache, a familiar distance, a familiar uncertainty, a familiar hope that maybe this time love will choose her fully. And when something is familiar, it can feel hard to leave, even when it hurts. That is why we need compassion. We do not need to shame the woman. We need to help her see, because once she sees, she can begin to choose differently, not overnight, not perfectly, but intentionally. She can begin to ask, what am I attached to? Him or the hope of who he might become? What am I afraid to lose? The relationship or the dream? What is the connection costing me emotionally? What am I calling love that may actually be a wound? What would I choose if I believed safe love was possible for me? Those questions start opening the door. When you think about the man you have struggled to let go, ask yourself, am I holding on to who he is? Or am I holding on to what I hope he could become? That question, that could be painful, but it can also set you free. And if this is helping you, make sure you like this video and subscribe. We are building a community of women who are ready to heal the father wound, ready to break old relationship patterns and take their lives back. So what does healing look like? Healing begins when we stop judging only the outside and start listening to the inside. Healing begins when we stop asking, why is he like this? And start asking, why does this feel familiar to me? Healing begins when we stop saying, I should know, and start saying, what do I still need to heal? Healing begins when we stop using success as proof that we are fine and start giving attention to the part of us that still hurts. Healing begins when we stop protecting old beliefs just because they came from real pain. Healing begins when we stop choosing men who match our wounds and start choosing love that match our worth. And healing is not just leaving a man. Sometimes leaving is part of it, but healing is deeper than leaving. Healing is learning your pattern. Healing is understanding your beliefs. Healing is grieving what you did not receive. Healing is telling the truth about what was modeled. Healing is learning what emotional safety looks like. Healing is learning to receive consistency without calling it boring. Healing is learning to slow down when chemistry is loud. Healing is learning that character matters more than charm. Healing is learning that attention is not the same as intention. Healing is learning that potential is not partnership. Healing is learning that love should not require you to abandon it. Healing is becoming the woman who no longer needs the wound to choose for her. That is the work. And that work is possible. You can heal, you can learn, you can unlearn, you can choose differently. You can stop repeating the same pain in a different man. You can become the woman who recognizes safe love when it shows up. What would choosing from healing look like for you? Would it mean asking better questions? Would it mean watching his actions instead of his words? Would it mean no longer ignoring red flags? Would it mean not giving your heart so quickly? Would it mean letting a healthy man feel unfamiliar without rejecting you? Would it mean going to therapy? Would it mean joining a community? Would it mean finally admitting the pattern has been costing you too much? Whatever it is, write it down. Because healing needs language. Healing needs honesty. Healing needs action. So let's bring it back. Why do successful women sometimes choose men who do not match their life? Maybe because we're looking at the wrong kind of match. We are looking at the outside, but the wound is choosing from the inside. We are looking at status, but the heart may be choosing from an old belief. We are looking at her success, but a relationship pattern may be connected to what she experienced and what she never received. And that is why we cannot just say, she should know better, because maybe she knows better. But knowing better is not the same as healing deeper. So the real question is, what did she learn love from a man look like? Who modeled it? What was missing? What belief did she build from what she experienced? What belief did she build from what she never received? And what is she choosing from that belief without even realizing? And that is where healing begins. Beautiful soul, you are not weak because you have a pattern. You are not foolish because you love someone who could not love you well. You are not stuck forever because you have chosen men who did not match the love you wanted. But you do have to be willing to look deeper. You have to be willing to question the belief. You have to be willing to heal the wound. You have to be willing to stop only decorating the outside of your life and start healing the inside of your heart. Because success can change your life, but healing changes who you choose. If this video spoke to you, I want you to do 3 things. First, subscribe to this channel. I post videos to help women heal the father, break toxic relationship patterns, and stop choosing emotionally unavailable men from old pain. Second, like this video. When you like the video, it helps you to show it more to women who need this message. And third, share it with the women who look successful on the outside, but may be silently struggling in love. And I want to invite you to join my Facebook group. She's taken her life back, breaking free from emotionally unavailable men. Inside the group, we talk about healing, self-worth, emotional availability, father wounds, relationship patterns, and learning how to choose from a healthy place. The link is in the description. Before you go, comment below. He matches the belief. If this helped you see that sometimes the relationship is connected to an old belief about love, or comment, I'm choosing healing. If you are ready to stop choosing through old wounds and start choosing from your worth. Beautiful soul, you are not here to keep choosing the kind of love that mirrors your pain. You are here to heal, grow, choose differently, and take your life back. I'll see you on the next video.